right. Welcome to All Good Things and All Good Time. My name is Craig-Bradley, Craig Hamilton Bradley. And this is where it is a good day to be alive here. A good day to be alive, yes it is. Cheers to you. This is a Torpedo IPA. Thank you, Northern California, Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. They have a case right now of all good beer at Costco for $30, which is like $1.40 a beer. Pretty good rate. If you can only really drink like a beer before you take a nap, like me, maybe two, you know, it's pretty affordable to have a luxurious beverage. Anyway, let's test out the water here in Lahaina town. This is our tap water, parts per million, that is. 380. All right, well, that's better than 508, which we had a few months ago. Got this water I've never seen before, Anheuser-Busch water. Probably has a bad pH, but let's test the parts per million on the Anheuser-Busch water. Turn that bug on. There we go. There it is. 58 parts per million. All right. And there you have it. Oh, and if you've never experienced the best thing ever, if you don't know what plantar fasciitis is, you don't want to. But many of you will at some point in your life learn what this is the hard way. And the way to never get it and to always treat your feet well is with arch and heel freaking insoles. The plantar fasciitis heel ones, they're the ones that really make your life wonderful. I'm just saying. If you're in the workforce, if you're a runner, if you walk a lot, if you're on your feet at work, get some good arch heel support. That's the stuff that will prevent plantar fasciitis, which you want to do. Oh man, it is Women's History Month. Oh man, I gotta go get it. All right, I gotta go get this picture. My great grandma, first woman probably in history to run for office and be elected to the Board of Education in Nevada City in the early 1880s. It is Women's History Month, so pardon me, I gotta go do that. All right. I don't think I have any moving pictures of her. I wish I did. That would be cool. But that's her right there. That is Virginia Shearer Bradley. When she was 92. Frederick Worthen Bradley, you see him in a couple movies. He's in all the movies. He's the guy making the movies. And that's my dad. So that's 4 generations. But this is the guy that the mountain is named after in Alaska. Mount Bradley on Douglas Island. Frederick Worthen Bradley. And there is a scholarship, mining engineering scholarship at UC Berkeley, in her name that he funded. And yeah, she was the president of the Women's Organization, traveled through the 1890s to the World's Fair and fought for women's rights. She was one of the original suffragists, gave speeches with Susan B. Anthony. One on record was from the steps of Nevada City Hall to a crowd of 39 people. This lady, Susan B. Anthony, giving speeches together. Anyway, and that's the front of that mansion you've seen at 2716 Pacific Avenue in San Francisco and Pacific Heights. A 36-room mansion, 3 stories with an elevator, built right after the earthquake. Many presidents visited and likely stayed there, amongst others. He was back when they weren't ashamed of it or it wasn't so secretive. He was a member of the Bohemian Grove along with all the presidents and Jack London and God knows who else was he friends with. And him too. And these two guys ran Bradley Mining Company through World War I and II, which produced the majority of the raw materials that helped us win the wars with the tungsten, the antimony, the mercury, all the stuff that, anyway, the lead. So, all right, so thanks for letting me indulge myself on that, since it's Women's History Month and no one knows her story. Interesting little side note about Lahaina town that's interesting. Kate Middleton's cousin, her first cousin, is or was, I don't know if she moved away, my kids grew up, but when my kids were little, Kate Middleton's cousin, her first cousin, was a elementary school teacher at King Kamehameha III, the one that burned down. So I don't know if she's still in town, still doing that, but it's pretty cool and interesting. And that was the first thing that came to mind. And I asked her the first time I met her, oh, like the princess? Yes. And then she said, I said, any relation? Yes, she's my cousin. So anyway, let's all hope Kate Middleton gets well soon. I've been exercising a little bit, not much, just swimming, and I've been doing my son's laundry. It's the only thing I'm good at. At least I'm good at something. And it is in the dryer right now. He's 2 work uniforms. I keep asking him, get more uniforms. Anyway, what else? The World Happiness results came out. America's 23rd in the world and most happy. So I guess we can do better, If we want to be the best country in the world, maybe we should want to rank higher than 23rd in happiness levels. Because we like to say that, oh, we're the best country in the whole world. Well, let's become more happy, shoot each other less. They came out with, and it was interesting because they said there were 14, and I haven't looked at them, but I'm curious, what are the 14 accents? There are 14, but I can think of so many, off the top of my head, from Chicago to Minnesota to Wisconsin to Boston to New York and New Jersey and Texas and Louisiana and Georgia and Kentucky, South Carolina. There's just all these different accents that I can think of off the top of my head. And then there's West Coast and gee whiz, and then maybe and then the Hawaiian local, the kind, and maybe there's one in Alaska. Maybe they're getting into the accents in cities more so than I mentioned, and so on. I just wonder. I got to look at that list. I think it's got to be interesting because I'm sure linguists have made these determinations. So that's good. It's the most popular pidgin or local accent is the most popular one. The most loved and the most hated. Interesting. So when it comes to the fire, there's a little bit of good news. My next place, supposedly, if they ever find it, and what they just don't have probably is 1-bedrooms, right? And that's what they're trying to find. Because of some stupid bureaucracy. And this speaks to what all bureaucracies, organization comes. No matter how organized you think you are, there should always be some sort of human element. Like the fact that we would have to give back $3,000 for my son and I to live together, which there's room for and places they could put us in immediately. Otherwise, they have to find 2 separate 1-bedrooms for us. And of course, they want to try to move us away, and there's just no way we're leaving this town. We can't live an hour away from my son's job. That's just not going to work. So, but the good news is, in the next place, we'll be able to have people over for no more than a week. Like on the 7th day, we're breaking rules if we have a guest stay with us for 6 or 7 days, which means my son and I can spend time at each other's places. I can continue to help him do his laundry, cook for him, which I want to do, which I enjoy doing, and it's the only thing I have to do, so I might as well. And he's working freaking 40. He just completed another 40-hour work week as a busboy, and he's doing great, making $30+ an hour. It's a killer. Working hard. Everyone complimenting for working hard, paying him for working hard. You know, it's just this positive cycle of reinforcement that's going on in his good life. And he works right on the beach. You know, he's looking at girls in bikinis all day. I just wish he'd cut his hair. Anyway, God, it's so frustrating. I don't know if you've seen any of this stuff about the negative effects of social media on children. But whoever the idiots were that thought it was ever acceptable or a good idea for any kid to ever have a phone at school is an idiot. Or work, God. People, you got to leave your fucking phones at home or in your car when you go to work and when you go to school, unless you're recording your instructor on your phone. It's the only reason to have a phone in class. Otherwise, leave that shit out of the classroom. It should be banned. It should be barred. There should be no kids in any school with the phone. If there's an emergency, they go to the office and call their mom. If their mom has an emergency, call the office, and the office sends someone to the room. You don't need, no one needs to have their phone on them when they should be in school paying attention, not doing social media nonsense, which obviously is causing suicides. So let's stop the suicides by stopping the cell phone entirely. And no one's even discussing that. They're not talking about ways to control social media, blah, blah, blah. How about you just keep the phones out of school? Duh. I can't even believe it. But what happened is that immediately the young managers that were hiring people, well, they were addicted to their phones. So how could they take it away from someone else? And so it was so important to them. And that's just unfathomable. Anyway, productivity would increase so much, both in the classroom and at work. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Anytime you see any nonsense about trying to control social media, just say, hey, why don't you just keep the phones out of school? If a phone shows up, then make them bring them to the office and put a tag on them, put it in a cubby, store it for them. If they have to have it before and after, whatever. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. My mom, who, let's see. I can't believe they stopped unemployment. Nobody can believe it, right? It's been 2 months now. No one has received an income of any kind. And they shut down our mail. So our mail just gets sent back to sender for the last 2 months. It is just awful. I mean, what stresses me out and they're threatening to kick us out because the $500 million contract with the Red Cross expires on April 10th. So we're all under threat of getting kicked out. We have to take someplace maybe an hour away from our jobs, which we're just not going to do, or else. And so that is unpleasant. So that's part of there's a little bit of good news and bad news, right? Like, hopefully they can find a place for us. But the part where there's just no human that can, look at something and go, oh, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Because, for some reason, the way they set it up, I'm on his FEMA account, but he's not on mine. And so if we were to live together, he'd have to give back the little bit of money they gave him to help him out when, it all first went down. So anyway, yeah, that's that. Boy, women, you gotta take over the world, ladies. You gotta vote. You gotta just keep going to college, since all these dipshit men are afraid to go to school. Might make them liberals. might make them care about women's rights. So yeah, women, you need to keep being the people who get the most degrees and who vote the most and who ultimately and often are. And if I meet a nice woman who makes more than me, that's okay. I almost would expect it. In today's world, women are great at going to work and earning a living, and yeah, and voting and getting an education. So they are going to save the world if anyone's going to, because men don't always vote in the right way. Hopefully Joe Biden will legalize weed and criminalize PFAS chemicals and bisphenol A, BPH. Anyway, hey, you know what no one ever talks about is Rudy Giuliani, okay? This traitor guy who has spent several years now, you know, whatever you want to call it, for a traitor who never pays his taxes, right? He's just been trying to cover for a guy who never pays his taxes, okay, or pays any taxes, okay? What no one ever mentions is the way Rudy Giuliani got famous. I was reading Time magazine back then. I've been reading it. I was always interested in the news since I was a little kid. And I remember I think it was cover of Time magazine. Anyway, he took down the great tax evader, Leona Helmsley, right? And that's what made him famous. That's what gave him his whole career, was going after somebody, a super rich, I don't know if she was a billionaire or a 100 millionaire, but he went after her for tax evasion and put her in jail. And so, yeah, kind of funny that he ends up working for a guy who never pays taxes and never pays him. And another interesting thing is that never gets brought up, and I would love to see someone ask Michael Cohen about this. Stormy Daniels once mentioned that she was threatened, that some ghoul came up to her when she was putting her baby in her car and told her she should, you know, not do what she's doing. And that was when Michael Cohen was working for Trump. And I just wonder if Michael Cohen has any inside knowledge of that happening from Trump's end, you know, hiring someone to go and threaten her, right? Because she, according to her, she was threatened back in the day. But it doesn't get any attention now. No one's talked about that for a long time. But as soon as Michael Cohen, flipped and became honest with everybody about all the dishonest stuff that he and Donald Trump were up to, I thought maybe something from that would come out. But maybe he's culpable in that explanation, and that's why he never brought it up. Who knows? But it's another thing that's interesting. Can't believe the dumb shit Republicans are going after fucking Mifepristone. What idiots, God. Oh. And they just lost a seat in Alabama. Oh, they're going after embryos, calling embryos babies. Boy, you got to be stupid. It's unbelievable. Oh, you ever hear these dipshits? These people that live in this weird fantasy right-wing fake world where everything is just contrived out of nonsense, but then they say shit like, well, it feels like it should be right. It's so annoying. Oh, and you know what? There isn't much stuff that bothers me, but there are a few things that slightly annoy me, like the expression, not gonna lie. Oh my God. If I have to listen to one more person, not gonna lie, it's like, do you normally lie? Like, why would you waste your time saying words that mean nothing? It's like saying, truthfully, which I might say sometimes, but it's less words at least. Nevertheless, just imagine what an English teacher would say to you if you were writing something out and you wrote, not gonna lie, comma. Anyway, useless words. And the word bruh, B-R-U-H, bruh. It's just nauseating. And people write that too. Anyway, bro, brah, cuz, brother. Brophosaurus. No, I don't know. Anything but bruh. It's just terrible. Locally, they take the R out. It's just bah. I love that. Hey, bah. Oh, that's the best. The easiest thing you could say. Because the R, that takes a lot of work. So let's see. It's funny. My son pays, right? My son is going to pay $15,000 this year in taxes. And the orange Lucifer, the convict 45, the former president who is a traitor, orange face might pay $0 or $750 like he has on several other years, right? But my son pays in 2 weeks. Donald Trump might pay in a whole year because, he don't make that much money. Anyway, I just love that. What a piece of shit he is. His piece of shit traitor lawyer, John Eastman, is on the verge of losing his license to practice law because he's a traitor, tried to overthrow the United States of America. And by golly gee whiz. What else is there? Just talked to this nice lady, Grace, down in the laundry room. And another house. She's works here, but she was made homeless by her landlord who kicked everybody out so they could, try to take advantage of the high demand for housing and maybe FEMA or whatever, right? Of course, they're doing the thing that you got to do is just say you're going to move into your house. If you don't already live there, if you're kicking everybody out, that's all you got to do. Say, I'm moving in, and then it's okay. They can't really argue with that. And that's the first step. So I'm glad they were taken in, I think by Red Cross or whatever, but there needs to be, I hope they're, in there with FEMA too. But yeah, that's happening everywhere. No one can believe unemployment is gone, that they took that away. And it just sucks that the fucking post office didn't continue to keep our mail for us. It just sucks. Anyway, those are the little things that could make this a lot better. Unemployment, which is just a trickle. Oh, the freaking mayor just talked about how he's gonna try to ask for $1.7 billion. All right, so let's do the numbers, okay? So far, there's the $500 billion that's gonna go to the Red Cross, who's paying, $80, $75, $80 a meal for meals that aren't $75 to $80 meals, that's for sure. They're paying in some cases $1,000 a night for rooms that wouldn't normally be going for even $1,000 a night. And so, huge. And then of course they've got their own bureaucracy, right? And they're raising money for us, but they don't need to because they're getting paid $500 million to reimburse them for the money they've spent, but also for the money it costs to run things, right? And I'd love to know what that breakdown is. And then there's all these other organizations, 100 million here, 100 million there, 200 million there. More than $1 billion easily raised and spent, some spent, a lot of it not. It's just in the pockets of a lot of the people that raised it. And so, and then if you add 1.7 billion to more than $1 billion, you're up to $3 billion, right? You could have wrote a check for $400,000 to each person for $2.8 billion, and got them to sign off and say we won't sue, or we'll all go find our own way, right? We'll go pay $1,000 a night on our own for that hotel room if it really costs that, or we'll go somewhere for a little while and come back, or we'll use that money to help build a house if we didn't have enough insurance, or we'll use that money to buy our first house if we were renters, and or start a business. And some people might go off the deep end and overdose on alcohol or something because they got it too good. Who knows? Lots of outcomes would happen, but it'd be less money literally to have given everyone just $400,000. At the very least, 3 for sure would have saved like almost $1 billion, right? Because 700 million is $100,000 per person, and I've generously been given 11 or 12,000, but I just wish I could see under the hood of all these organizations. United Way, they distributed $7 million. Thanks a lot, but how much did they raise? And so on. It all just makes you wonder. And then they just announced that there's money for people with Hawaiian blood, which is all good. Only 4,000 for renters, 9,000 for homeowners. For some reason, they get more just because they were homeowners. But it doesn't really, I think, account for like Hal. He's 85 years old, born and raised on the West Side. Graduated Lahaina Luna in the mid to late 50s. Born in, I think, 38. And, how is he less entitled to some help from the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, who's giving money out to people with Hawaiian blood? Why penalize him because he's just Japanese, or a Filipino family, 4th generation Filipino family here? I don't necessarily feel like it's a rub on me, but I feel like it's a little bit of a rub on them. And then it's also a rub on renters, giving $5,000 less to renters than you do to homeowners. But that's what just got announced. And it's nice, it's generous, and I don't ever want to say anything negative about any money. It's actually going to people because so much money isn't. It's all going to the wealthy hotel owners, right? It's just huge amounts of money going from one ledger to the restaurant owners, to the hotel owners, and to the homeowners of vacation properties or locals that want to take advantage of this situation. So, like, all the money's not going to the people who really need it and who deserve it, probably. It's going to all the people who are, being asked to help us. But could have made a little more self-determination right up front. You also could have invested right away on like some small places, to live. And now they're finally starting to do that. Anyway, so I think that's most of my thoughts on most of that. I usually think of stuff I wish I'd said afterwards. Got to get those Biden shoes. Seen those Biden shoes? Those old man shoes? They seem very stabilizing. I could use that. America's Uncle Grandpa, Joe Biden. Hopefully he'll legalize weed. That would make him so much cooler. And let's hope that the killing stops all around the world and in the Middle East. It is just brutal. The first attack was brutal to bear witness to, and now all this continued death and evil that the Israeli military is perpetrating on the Palestinians is just gnarly. Indiscriminate killing. So it really makes it, no matter what your circumstances in your life, pretty much, give or take a few, how can you feel sorry for yourself when you turn on the TV and you see what's going on with these poor people being just bombed and families being wiped out? It's pretty brutal. Let's hope that stops, And on a lighter note, if you haven't seen these, here's a good recommendation. It's a YouTube recommendation. Occasionally you discover just a certain style of video on YouTube that's really cool. And there's these groomers that go out and find these just matted up, rejected dogs that are, stray dogs that have like 10 pounds of matted up fur on them. They can barely move and walk, and they just get rescued and groomed and then nursed back to health. And there's a whole class, there's like a whole type of video just on dog rescues. It's pretty, and if you haven't seen it, also the doggy dancing. There's this dog dancing where these people dance with their dogs at these dog competitions. Holy shit. That's some of the funniest shit you've ever seen. And, I can't imagine the amount of time it would take to teach a dog all those tricks. Nevertheless, a couple recommendations for you there. And yeah, sorry I don't have more jokes on this one. There should be more jokes. I realize a lot more jokes. I gotta think more jokes. Been exercising a lot, trying to get my blood flow going, you know. Anyway, thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Remember to do no harm and to do no crime, because that's uncool, right? Make the world a better place by doing less. If you're inclined to do harm or crime, just do less today. But if you're inclined to go do something nice for people, go do more. That's it. It's so simple. Yeah. And the only thing you have control of is your attitude. So have a good one, right? Even if your house burns down, you know, have a good one. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what you're going to do. It's going to be a good life, because that's what we're going to make it. Smile at the world. The world will smile back. That's really all you got to know. All right. 1, 2, 3. Up. Ooh. Whew. I'll tell you what. All right. Have a great day. Aloha.